In a small town's humble animal shelter, a grey and white cat named Merka did something so unexpected that it rewrote everyone's understanding of family. Merka wasn't just any cat. She was a new mother, her own tiny kittens curled up beside her. Yet one spring day, 4 orphaned baby squirrels, their eyes barely open and their bodies frail, found themselves nestled into Merka's warm fur, adopted wholly as her own. How did a simple shelter cat become an unwavering protector to creatures she should have viewed as prey? It all began when a routine tree removal turned into a rescue mission that would change countless lives forever and warm the hearts of people around the globe. Springtime in this town means the parks and wooded areas undergo maintenance, with crews identifying trees that pose risks to visitors. One bright morning, workers approached an ancient oak, a stalwart of the forest for decades, ready to bring it down. The chainsaw's hum grew louder, echoing through the clearing, until with a final creak, the oak toppled. Amid the crashing branches and rising dust, the crew noticed tiny squeaks from within the tree's hollow. They paused, forego the work at hand, and peered inside. There, huddled together against the rough bark, were 4 baby squirrels, motherless and petrified. The sight of those trembling creatures, eyes fluttering but still too weak to scurry away, made every worker's heart sink. With no mother in sight and time slipping away, they gently gathered the squirrels into soft cloths and rushed them to the nearby animal rescue shelter. From the moment the shelter staff unwrapped the tiny orphans, they knew they faced a monumental challenge. Baby squirrels need unceasing feedings, constant warmth, and the protective presence of their own mother to survive. Yet the shelter, accustomed to dogs and cats, had never tackled a rescue quite like this. One evening, as the staff debated how best to care for the vulnerable orphans, a thought emerged, bold, hopeful, and a little bit daring. Merka, a recently birthed mother cat whose kittens nursed eagerly at her belly, was renowned in the shelter for her gentle nature. What if her maternal instincts could extend beyond felines? Could a cat accept squirrels in place of kittens and nurture them as her own? It was a gamble. In the wild, cats hunt squirrels without hesitation. Nevertheless, with the squirrels' lives hanging in the balance, the staff decided to try. They carried the tiny squirrels, their fragile bodies so light they barely weighted an ounce each, to Merka's enclosure. The kittens lounged around their mother, oblivious to what was about to unfold. As the staff placed the squirrels near Merka's side, the atmosphere crackled with tension. Would Merka dismiss them? Would she lash out? The room fell silent save for the squirrels' muted squeaks. Merka's whiskers twitched as she leaned forward, sniffing each newcomer. The staff watched, breaths held, ready for either violence or rejection. Then, in a moment that felt almost unreal, Merka began to lick the baby squirrels. Soft strokes of her tongue cleaned them, her purr vibrating through their tiny forms. Instead of hissing or batting at them, she gathered them close, offering warmth and security. It was as if she recognized them as her own, her maternal instincts obliterating any notion of predator and prey. From that instant, Merka became their unwavering guardian. Merka's kittens watched this strange new family form, their eyes wide with curiosity, as the squirrels nestled in the same fur that kept them warm. But shelter staff quickly realized that Merka's milk supply couldn't sustain both kittens and squirrels. So begin the round-the-clock regimen. Every few hours, staff members arrived with bottles of special formula, coaxing the squirrels to feed. The work was relentless. Midnight, dawn, midday, and dusk, but each feed meant another chance at survival for these tiny creatures. As the days passed, the squirrels' fragile frames filled out. Their limbs strengthened and their whiskers grew more lively. They began to mimic the kittens, chirping and scampering across Merka's back, wrestling gently with their feline siblings. One young squirrel, emboldened by curiosity, dangled from Merka's tail, eliciting a low, amused rumble from their adoptive mother. A kitten chased a squirrel's tail in playful pursuit. The squirrel leaped away without fear, both creatures united in innocent fun. Word of Merka and her adopted squirrels spread quickly. A shelter volunteer posted photos. Merka cradling 4 squirrels like 4 tiny ornaments, her kittens peeking out from behind her. The internet exploded with wonder and delight. People around the world left messages of encouragement. Donations poured in to support the shelter's newfound mission of interspecies caregiving. Visitors travelled from towns away just to witness the unusual family. Emails flooded the inbox, paper headshots of squirrels juxtaposed with cats. Academic inquiries about animal behaviour. Everyone wanted to know more about Merka's extraordinary compassion. Yet the shelter staff knew that this fairy tale family could not last forever. Squirrels, by nature, belong in the trees, scampering along branches, foraging for nuts and seeds. No matter how deep their bond with Merka, their wild instincts would eventually call them back to the forest. And so began the careful process of preparing them for independence. Day by day, the squirrels were offered small bits of nuts and fruit, learning to feed themselves. The door to Merka's enclosure was cracked open, allowing brief forays into the sunlit yard. Each venture brought new sights, from rustling leaves to buzzing insects, igniting their innate curiosity. All the while, Merka observed from within, her green eyes never straying far from her adoptive brood. She would stretch, emerging to softly call them back if they wandered too far, as any mother does. But eventually, the squirrels' hesitations faded. Climbing the nearby wooden fence became second nature. A baby grey squirrel poised on a branch, surveying the world beyond the shelter gates. The time was drawing near. The day of release dawned crisp and clear. Shelter staff loaded the squirrels into carriers lined with soft cloth, a gentle nod to their first rescue. They chose a forest reserve not far from the original oak that had toppled. The same towering trees now reached toward the sky, birds singing overhead. With hearts pounding, the team opened the carriers. For a moment, the squirrels froze, their noses twitching at the unfamiliar air. Then one by one, they bounded out, tiny feet finding branches, tails arching as they climbed. And just like that, they were gone, swallowed up by the canopy that had always belonged to them. Merka stayed behind, her role as caregiver complete. She returned to her kittens, now growing into graceful young cats, and resumed her quieter days in the shelter. But she was forever changed too, a local hero. Her story emblazoned on posters, websites, even t-shirts. Visitors still arrive, hoping for a glimpse of the cat who became the mother to squirrels. And sometimes, when the breeze stirs just right, staff claim they see flickers of grey darting through the trees by the fence. 4 familiar shapes, coming home for a moment, perhaps to say thank you. This tale of Merka and her orphans reminds us that compassion can defy nature's most entrenched rules. A cat that could have chased squirrels instead chose to nurture them. Love, it seems, knows no species boundaries. So the next time you find yourself pondering the limits of kindness, remember Merka, her gentle purr, her motherly licks, her fierce protection of creatures she never had to save. Because sometimes the most extraordinary families form in the most unexpected ways. And in those moments, we glimpse the true beauty of the world. Thank you for listening to this heartwarming story. If it touched you, please click like and subscribe for more tales that celebrate the power of love and the bonds that unite us all, no matter how unlikely they may seem. We appreciate every view, every like, and every share. Until next time, take care and remember, kindness can come from the most surprising place.